unbelievable. Ms. Hawley, following the Supreme Court's historic decision on the Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization case, Democrat strategists and so-called pundits within the mainstream media went into a manic frenzy. Every negative characterization in the book was thrown at the Supreme Court, its conservative justices, Republicans, and the entire pro-life movement. Headlines foretold of the apocalypse and how our democracy was hanging on by a mere thread, though we live, in fact, in a constitutional republic. The entire country was swept up by the media's maelstrom of political skullduggery. It was intended to deceive the American people and, more importantly, distract them from the truth. The truth is that the decision in Dobbs simply rights a wrong that has lasted for almost half a century. Decision-making has returned to the states where it belongs and where it should have been the entire time. Federalism is finally receiving the due deference that it deserves. Ms. Hawley, in recent years, pro-choice advocates have shifted their agenda by stating that abortion is a necessary component of health care, which is what we just heard. Would you consider taking the life of an unborn baby health care?
Absolutely not. Abortion is not health care. And in fact, if we look at the statistics from women who have had abortions themselves, 75% of those women say they would have chosen life if circumstances would have been different. Abortion is not health care.
So in your opinion, is the Dobbs ruling an attack on women's rights? And did women ever have a constitutional right to take the life of their unborn baby?
The Supreme Court opinion, Dobbs, cogently explained that there is nothing in the Constitution's text or structure or in our nation's history that would in any sense support a right to an abortion. If you look at our nation's history, abortion has been unlawful since the common law. In 1973, when Roe versus Wade was decided, that case overturned the pro-life laws of nearly every single state.
Would you talk a little bit about the pro-life movement being a pro-woman movement?
Absolutely. There's, as we mentioned, of course, babies can be female as well. So it's definitely pro-woman in that sense. As well, the pro-life movement and ADF believes in the inherent dignity and value of every single person. We believe that every person has the right to life, and that the pro-life community has and will continue to come alongside and empower women. If we talk about pregnancy care centers, they're not fake centers. In 2019, they spent served 1.85 million families, provided $266 million worth of goods, of car seats, of baby formula, which is surprisingly hard to get, of diapers, of the things that women really need. They also provide emotional counseling, they provide fatherhood training, housing, educational training, things that can enable women to survive and thrive.
Thank you. As I said before this committee last September, we must pay attention to the language that's being used to justify the destruction of human life. Abortion is the deliberate termination of a human pregnancy and the destruction of an unborn baby. The term has been tossed around the public square so much over the course of decades that the magnitude of this horrendous act itself has become lost. It's a euphemism designed to deceive with the goal of dehumanizing the unborn before its life is extinguished. Allow me to deconstruct and accurately define the euphemism the left has switched to using as of late: women's health, the destruction of innocent unborn babies; reproductive freedom, the ability to murder a child out of convenience; abortion rights, the agency to rob another of life; pro-choice, anti-life. Day by day, the pro-life movement in America continues to grow, but our fight is not over. If we're to close this shameful chapter of murdering the unborn and consign it to the ash heap of history, we need to clear the left's linguistic smokescreen from the equation entirely. The facts are on our side, and it's up to us to correct the record once and for all. We're the ones who will ensure that life always wins. Thank you, Madam Chairman. I yield back.